Hello and welcome. Let's continue on within part 3 on the tutorial for trading. This is brought to you by, well, nobody. The Money Charts channel is the name. Any likes, comments, all that type of stuff, always appreciated. If you didn't watch the first 2 parts, it should go without saying, you might be a little lost moving forward. This is going to be a multiple part series, and well, a few more months I've accumulated for information. And as I left off within the second part video, the price action had come up close to this 18 number, near this high. As we say, has yet to break resistance, but it was close. But the thing we know about technical analysis is when it breaks it, you got to expect a big, decent gain. Which means, as I stated this from before, as far as market conditions, accumulation, neutral, and distribution, everything below 20,000 was accumulation mode. Neutral was 20 to 50 because breaking that resistance, I would expect it to break past 50. And distribution mode is where you sell large. But until it breaks it, it's still in such, and this market has been going straight up. Not too many coins left, that as I was stating, you got to be a little careful. If we continuously get more sell orders in a row, we're going to run out, which means you're either going to have to do that, hope that it goes lower, or reduce the amount of coins. Now, for now, I'm not going to reduce it yet, but if a couple sell orders come in, then I think you'd have to. Let's move on to the next trade. And that was a sell order at 13,798. But the buyback came in, buying 5,080. So free 1,300 and change. And then selling 3,700 again at the exact same price, buying again at the exact same price. Only this time, the market went down and a bunch more. It went down to 77.51. Went down to 6,500 and then further down to 5,500. So getting back some of those sell orders that were filled. In total, there were 26,630 buys, 7,400 sells, and a net gain of almost 20,000, which meant you only had a little over 20,000 to begin with. That is doubling your portfolio. So after this buy order, the remaining lower orders at 4204 and 3002 Satoshi would still remain. 10% is 4,000 because I'm looking at the 40,000, so therefore I'm going to reset it so that the stakes are 4,000 and 7,500, with the next 2 sell orders placed at 69.95 and 99.95. Now the whole purpose of a number on the second one, noticeably a bit more. I like to go a bit aggressive on this because if I happen to hit the upper sale, I more times than not, as we've seen in the previous hands before times, that it's just going to come right back down, and I'm going to instantly buy at a great price, which is why I like to put those secondary ones in. Now, I can't put a sell order. I could put a, I can't even put a sell order at 7,000 at the time. That's because the price was actually higher on the close at that time. For it was 7,607. Therefore, selling 4,000 is the play. Placing a buy order back for this at 55.03. Now, as this went further, a few days later, it would sell 4,000 at 9,975, with the buyback looking to get in at 72. And both of them would buy back 4 days later, respectively, each time. And thus, that's a gain of 3,030, as we're able to get a little over 1,500 on each spot. On the 26th of May, okay, well, first of all, before the 7th, well, even the 17th, so the gain was 3,000. Therefore, not that much for me to really change the stakes of the game too much, only gaining 3,000. But on the 17th of May, I'd sell at 76.95. The message of the market stated, even though I sold at 7,600 before that, and it was able to get more. That was a conservative sell. Had I picked 78 or 79, I would have got that as well too on that particular case. And then the buyback occurred 9 days later on the 26th, and on that exact same day, the buy order below that as well would come through at 42.04. So therefore, a net increase overall of everything in that of 9,770. So I had 40,000 before. I pretty much have 10,000 now more on top of that. That's 50,000 and a bit on top. So therefore, 10% is, well, 5,000. And, well, let's make the secondary number at 8,500. The update on the chart at this point would look something like this. So we had that great increase. It did come back down as we expect. Markets go up, markets go down. All of these nice little up and down moves. Of course, the buying and selling did work out for a few of those trades, which is obviously nice to have happen. But also at the same time, Bitcoin was up to 472 now at this point. And Bitcoin was 1,100 and change or so. It pulled back down to 250 up to 472. So therefore, it's going to stay in accumulation mode itself until it really reaches that 1,000 number. But it's always nice as a trader to see that you've done overall well, because the amount of coins that have been increased on this has been tremendous thus far. And the value of the Bitcoin, considering we started this, it was near the bottom at 250, but it's been going higher. And a bunch of other trades, but the dates, May 30th, June 1st, then the end of June, and then into July. So sometimes that were into place, but these are all sell orders here. May 30th selling at 6,000, and then the buybacks would be on the right hand side. June 1st selling 8,000, and each time selling 5,000 of the altcoins, selling at 10,005, about 14,000, and then selling at about 20,000. And ABC has left the building. Elvis, not Elvis. It's the game that we're playing, and no, accumulation mode. It's over because, as we stated, up to 20,000, we go into neutrality mode. So now that it's at that point, I guess, especially with the sell order here at 28,000 almost, that's neutrality mode. Now on this asterisk where it says partial. Now that we're no longer in accumulation mode, I don't want to buy 100% of my Bitcoin into altcoins. I want to do it somewhere in between. So normally, if I were to say sell 5,000, I'd be looking to buy back maybe 7,000 or 6,800 back. Well, somewhere in between, like 5,800, 5,900, something in the middle part is what I would do, up until this thing gets to about, really probably about then even the next one after that, I would probably just go for a full buyback, which means whatever I sold, if I sold 5,000, I'm looking to just buy back 5,000 on the next one, because things are getting pretty crazy. Now, close of the day was 33,333 Satoshi, so this makes things even more interesting. What do you do as a trader? If I had a seller at 28, my upper would have been around 42. It would have, it's got to be high. It's definitely not 33. So then you got to ask yourself, do you sell and how much do you sell? 20% further gain from your last sale, going from 28 to 33. And you have already sold, just with these sell orders here, about 60% of your stack. You had 50,180, now you got 20,180. 10% of that's only 2,000, which is 40% of what you're selling right now. If you keep selling 5,000, you can only go pretty much 4 more times. You got 4 more bets, basically. So therefore, obviously you don't want to take 33 if your last is 28. Maybe you want to go 36 for one of your 4 bets, and then maybe go like 44, 69, 95, and you're done. And that strategy, I think, is fine. It's something you have to think of yourself as a trader. How are you going to handle this situation? course, looking at the charts can help, so let's do that. We'll put the daily on the left, the weekly on the right. I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler hint, but it really isn't much of one. And that is the weekly chart, it does go back down to 25. Now, where it goes from here, that's not much of a retracement. It's either got to go down or it's got to go big. We see really, really big move going straight up, going from like 8 to 33. I mean, if this thing keeps going, it's just going to keep going at this big volatile rate. Big volume is always going to come at tops or bottoms usually, and it can only come on big moves because big volume, big moves go hand in hand. But what's to say you don't get this thing go to 100,000 and this volume is twice or triple the size? And again, that 20,000 to 50,000 area is neutral. So that's where you can get away with putting in maybe one more sell order in neutrality and then just unloading it big if it goes to the top part, because you'd be entering distribution mode relatively fast. Just one leg higher is all it takes at the 33. Furthermore, Bitcoin price on July 14th is in at $650, rising very rapidly. It was around 400 and change on the previous update. So would you profit take some Bitcoin? Now remember, Bitcoin is still in the middle of that range. So for myself as trader, small amounts, but not that much. Which means for today's market movements, today being winter of 2019, those whom would be doing such when price goes up, it's up to like 9,000 and 10,000. It'd be the same sort of story. How do you do it there? If you sell a little bit, well, that's fine. But as far as its correction is concerned, are you in accumulation, neutral, or distribution mode? And at the time for Bitcoin, it could not have been until distribution mode, until it went to several thousands of dollars at this point. So therefore, you can leave some comments. What would you do at a spot like this with your coins? Would you unload them all? Would you do something similar like what I'm saying? Just sell the bits and pieces, because it can only go up so much more. And remember too, that if you ever get in a situation like this, and you do say, you know what, I'm going to take the chance, I'm going to have 4 more sell orders come in, and if it just keeps going up after that, so be it. That altcoin, I'm going to be done with it with amazing gains, you can say to yourself. Because the likelihood, when you have something like this go much high like that and stay up there, is not that good. And when these markets go up like this, you get the big volume. People are buying urgently. And this is where me as a trader, I'm doing the opposite. I'm selling urgently, but not too urgent, because as this was going on, it was in neutral mode. And urgently really is in distribution mode. And we're going to have to see that in a future part. Will it be on part 4? And it might be. But the next move is either the Great Correction or the Great Further Extension, which is not the name, it's just something I said. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.